Final segment here of A to Z on Locked On Sports Atlanta, free on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Search Locked On Sports Atlanta. Yeah, and I said final segment of A to Z. If that's what you didn't hear, then that's what you're supposed to hear. My jumbled mess of a mouth is getting in my way here on this Monday. I want to get to some Atlanta Hawks news, but first, it's time for a shovel of wisdom.
Brace yourselves, because it's time for the shovel of wisdom.
Shovel of wisdom to me. Forgot to mention segment brought to you by our good friends at Coffee AM. We'll get to them here in a few minutes. But today, my shovel goes to Air Canada and Abbas Zob. Yeah, Air Canada is an airline, obviously. Abbas Zob was a passenger in Toronto, and he was flying to San Francisco, and he was prevented from getting on the flight due to visa issues. Now, he had went and got into checked in and everything, but they had apparently stopped him at the gate and wouldn't allow him to get on the flight. Unfortunately, he had already checked his luggage, and he wasn't permitted to board the plane. Problem is that part of his luggage, well, it was two cats. He had put his two cats on the plane, Mimi and Bubba. They were sent to San Francisco without him. He protested the airline and said he was told that he either needed to fly to San Francisco to retrieve his pets or arrange for someone on the West Coast to look after them. Yeah. Long story short here, Zob was finally reunited with his pets 15 hours after checking them in at the luggage terminal in Toronto. I guess somebody else on the plane brought his little kitty cat back to Toronto. Yeah. Okay. You know, like, I get people love pets, and I love pets too. And listen, what do you fly with animals for, man? Like, you just come on. Why would you check your animal in below the plane anyway? If you're gonna fly with an animal, don't you just bring it with you? Stash it under the seat. I've actually done that before. That's a weird way to go about this, man. Like, I don't know. There's no way I'm putting an animal in with the check luggage. Have you ever seen the videos like on TikTok and everything else of baggage handlers handling those things? They chuck bags around like they don't care. You can put fragile on it all you want. Fragile, a kid, if you haven't seen A Christmas Story. And they're just going to chuck that thing all over the place. So I'd be worried putting my pet below the plane. Anyway, we digress. Okay. Big news in the NBA about possibly Kevin Durant being traded to Boston, of all places. And this wasn't anything, this was just came out from Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN. And while this doesn't directly affect the Atlanta Hawks, I continue to remind everybody, and I don't want to be a broken record, and I don't want to sound like a jerk about this, but everybody else has the chance to get better, and the Hawks have not gotten that much better. Dejounte Murray doesn't make you a top 4 team in the East. And that's no disrespect to Murray. Just is what it is. Unless a lot of these players start playing at a level that they never had before. And it was fun to see, by the way, Trae Young and John Collins playing in that Drew League, doing alley-oops and things of that nature. It looked like they got along. Oh, well, make of that what you will. But if the Boston Celtics get Kevin Durant, it's a 3-team race in the East. That's it. It's Boston, Milwaukee, maybe Miami, maybe Philadelphia. But it's Boston and Milwaukee, and then that's it. So, I sit here and I just say this to be a realist about where the Hawks are and what they have in front of them. And oh, by the way, if this thing falls through for Boston, because you only get one chance to pull off a deal like this. This is not a deal that you can get bandied about for a long period of time. Apparently, the Boston Celtics dangled Jaylen Brown out there as the trade piece. Nobody wants to be second choice. Nobody wants to feel like they're not an important part of an organization. And once you throw a trade name like that out there, a guy that that you wouldn't have moved. Now, granted, again, you're moving him for a top 10 player in NBA history, but still, he's not going to enjoy the feeling of being the second choice of the Boston Celtics to anybody. Doesn't matter who it is. Nobody enjoys that feeling. So if this thing falls through, Jaylen Brown might be a guy that wants to trade out of town. Now, that may be something that the Hawks could get into. And the Hawks are still being bandied about in one other trade name. And I'll tell you who that is in just a moment. First, a word from our friends at Coffee AM. Guys, you've heard me tell you about them every single day. Why? Because the coffee is great. It's so great, I even brought it with me on vacation. Coffee AM is a small batch roasting company right here in Atlanta. And they have some of the freshest coffees around. Why? Because they roast them and ship them basically on the same day. If not the same day, very close to it. And look, they get coffees from around the world with Coffee AM. Sumatra, Rainforest, Kenya, whatever it may be. Those are some of my favorites that I've tried. There are so many other flavors, and they are so good. Coffee AM only roasts the most current crop, specialty grade coffees. I told you about the huge selection. It's organic, fair trade, direct trade, and expertly crafted blends of espressos, flavored coffees and teas, gift sets, and a whole lot more roasted right here in your backyard. Go to coffeeam.com/locked on today. Take a look at their full menu of everything that they have, coffees, teas, gift sets. It's coffeeam.com/locked on. Use the coupon code locked on to get 15% off your first order at checkout at Coffee AM. Coffee AM, the best small batch coffee roaster in America. It's right here in Georgia. All right, how in the world are the Atlanta Hawks being still talked about in trades for Donovan Mitchell? Like I saw that other report from Woj, and I forget it was who else was reporting the same thing. But regardless, what in the world are the Hawks going to do with Donovan Mitchell at this point? I mean, unless you're trading Dejounte Murray back to Utah, I'm not sure why you would have given away assets to give away more. That's so I don't know how the Hawks are still being, unless they were just lumping them in as one of the teams that were made. That's not the sense I got from the article. And even though the article focused more on Donovan Mitchell actually heading to the Knicks and what that's going to look like and things of that nature, but there were a whole list of teams that were out there when I was reading the column, including the Hawks, that were still being tossed around in the idea that Donovan Mitchell would become part of it. I think that window is shut. Again, I think the John Collins window is shut. I think the Hawks roster is what it is. I would be more than surprised if they were able to get a deal done for John Collins at this point. The plan Bs that are, and maybe look, if the Kevin Durant trade actually goes through, then maybe there's a plan that everybody looks at and goes, okay, let me go get Collins to help solidify my roster. But it looks like this is a roster that they're going to battle with in 2022. That's just kind of right now. And going to be continue to evolve. It's sort of like a little bit of a game here right now. September, the roster is finalized by then. You still have a whole month of August to get things done, and a lot of teams may be waiting to see if the Kevin Durant domino falls before they make any other final decisions. So we'll see where that goes. All right, that'll do it for me here on this Monday. We'll be back tomorrow. Again, give me a follow on Twitter at Mark Zinno. You guys have a great day. Don't forget to crap from anybody. See you.